All right, my friends, welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I want to talk a little bit more about this whole Nvidia and AMD thing, where I'm sitting with this right now at this current point in my life. I've done a couple of interviews over the last week and a half with other people that are, I would say, more or less, um, more or less fans of Nvidia. Both of them, do have AMD cards as well, and you know, since since I bought the 7900 XT, and this is a serious video because um, since I bought the 7900 XT just over a year ago, um, I have consistently been able to put in my AMD card, play the games just regularly, like no extra added bonus or anything. I mean, obviously, I'll set my color, to like 150. Um, and I've just consistently been able to be wowed every time I use the AMD GPU, my 7900 XT, my 7800 XT that I had, or the 7600 XT. It didn't matter. The experience was consistent across the board in terms of visual quality, color representation, and everything. Like, I could consistently see a better looking image quality on my AMD cards. Now I have the 4080 Super in right now. I've bought I bought a 4070, I bought a 4070 Super, and I bought the 4080 Super this generation out of the 40 series cards. Now, there are things that I've been able to find on the Nvidia side, digital vibrance, stuff like that. I've tried some of the RTX, um, just in the last couple of days. The little gosh dang it, what are they called? The filters or whatever, the Nvidia filters. Um, and to this day, I still am having a very hard time just absolutely being blown away with Nvidia visuals like I am the AMD side. Now, you got to understand, like, I'm literally using the exact same monitor or C2 screen that I'm using with the AMD side. I am. Like, there's that there shouldn't be, in my mind, there shouldn't be this much of a um it shouldn't really be this much of a discrepancy. Now, when I've tried to show this discrepancy too, like multiple times, and for some reason it's kind of hard to show that. I don't understand why I can see something on one side, record footage, and then when I put the Nvidia card back in and I go to side by side those, I'm not seeing like a significant, I'm not seeing that difference while playing back the AMD footage on the Nvidia GPU. But I can see it when I play it back on the AMD GPU. But that also makes the Nvidia footage look better too. So I know I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy. When you look at something and you're sitting there and like it immerses you because of the way it looks or the way it feels or the way it sounds or whatever. Well, like that immersive factor, that extra like, oh, there it is, that immersiveness. I only get that on the AMD GPUs. I'm not, and really, I'm not biased. I don't really think I'm as biased as I was when I first started using AMD, because there are things about the Nvidia GPUs that I do like. So I don't think that's it. I don't think that, like, I just put in the AMD card and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, I just love this. I don't think that's the case. Like, I am looking at this very objectively, and for some reason, even if I was to try to record my screen, I don't think I'd be able to capture, with the camera. I've been trying, I've been testing some stuff out. I don't think it's going to be possible to capture that overall visual difference that I'm trying to show people, because here's the thing, guys. Now, when you're looking at the footage, when I'm playing back the footage and I'm looking at it side by side. I mean, obviously there are some differences that you'll be able to see, like color palette, stuff like that. I've been able to capture that and get that into like side by side videos and stuff. I've been able to show that, but when it comes to, like visual quality type differences, you know, like that finer detail that I'm consistently telling you about. A lot of it does get lost in like the re-upload to oh gosh dang it. At least with what I'm trying right now, at least with what I'm doing. Eventually I am gonna buy another capture card so that I can get that so that I can use the capture card to try to capture footage to try to get that out there. But I I'm sticking by my guns, guys. I feel like AMD delivers better image quality. I do. And nothing's going to change my mind. I can see this with my own eyes, and you know, I'm going to believe my eyes. I'm not going to listen to people that, you know, potentially like me might have a bias toward the other side. Because that is possible. Like it is possible for somebody to look at the way Nvidia produces visuals, just like I do with the AMD side, and 100% like that more than what they would be seeing on the AMD side, and still, these differences are a lot harder to see on 4K. They are a lot harder to see on 4K. For me, most of the magic happens on you know, the 3440 by 1440p or regular 1440p monitor. That there's where I'm seeing the biggest difference in overall visual quality. Once you start getting into the mix of 4K, and your image quality, you know, isn't, you know, as there's not as big of a difference in terms of like density of pixel and stuff like that when you start getting into 4K. 4K makes it a little bit more like, it automatically adds that extra like sharpness that I just don't I don't prefer that over the way the density looks on like a 1440p monitor. I like that little bit softer tone in my visuals as opposed to what it looks like at 4K. So I get where maybe something isn't, you know, like lining up with when it comes to like 4K overall. That I can't explain. Like I have no explanation for that. When I'm playing either of the games on the 4K, it pretty much just looks, you know, pretty close to the same to me. So I mean, there is that. But for me, the biggest difference is the 1440p, the overall the way things look at 1440p. Now, maybe that's something, maybe that's not. But at the end of the day, if it's something that I prefer more and I like that more, it it doesn't matter how many times you scream at me telling me you don't know what you're talking about. I can see with my own eyes clearly, and you know, my own experience and the way I like things and the way I see things are always going to trump you yelling at me and telling me that I'm crazy and I don't know what I'm talking about. Now, because it is true, guys. Every time I put the 4080 Super back in my PC, I'm instantly, the moment I start playing a game, I'm instantly like, oh man, like I can tell, like I can see that it's just not as good as what my AMD card is producing for me. Like when I have the 7900 XT in there, man, I'm happy. I'm happy. And yes, guys, obviously I did this to myself. I should have just never even bought the 4080 Super. I should have probably just kept this channel more in line with just making AMD content and stuff, but I don't want to be pigeonholed into making just one type of content for one brand. Like I don't want to do that. I don't think that it. I don't. I mean, I get. You get so much pushback when you try to just be like a brand thing, and then, you know, you just get kind of. I don't like what it does to my mental stability. Just covering like say Xbox or AMD. I want to be able to try everything, and I want to be able to be level headed and keep a level head when it comes to this stuff, because there are a lot of people out there that there's a lot of people out there that are, you know, basically being used as marketing chips to market these products. And me as a consumer, just like you, I'm buying these things for myself, for my own personal enjoyment. And I get it, man. There's a lot of people that like me and like the channel, but they love Nvidia. There's a lot of people that like me and love the channel that like AMD. I'm trying to be fair for everybody. I'm trying to be fair for everybody. But guys, in my honest opinion, my hat tips towards AMD. I do like the overall experience that I'm getting with AMD. I've been trying these NVIDIA features. I'm going to keep the 4080 Super in there until at least the 24th when I get my 3-day weekend. So, I mean, I am continuing to try this stuff. I am continuing to, learn things and move forward and see what other possibilities that the NVIDIA GPUs can do. Like I said before, I'm not 100% against NVIDIA, but I do long for my AMD GPU a lot, guys. And it's crazy that it's like that, because there's so many people that like Nvidia, bro, and it's like, wow. And sometimes you just kind of have to try to separate the people that are just like, yeah, man, the hell with AMD. Like, there's so much negativity out there about AMD, and I think that if more people tried AMD and put like their bias or whatever aside, like I'm trying to do with Nvidia right now, just try to put it aside and really give it a fair chance, because they're like I said, like I'm finding things on Nvidia that I actually do like, and that I take advantage of. So it's not like that. If I honestly, guys, if I didn't have the AMD GPU, I don't think we would even be having this conversation, because there's enough in the 4080. I mean, even the 4070 Super was good enough to wow me, to make me happy. But I had access to the AMD side, so I'm like, ooh, I really really like that. So I mean, there are things that I would 100% be happy with. But now that I've actually had the opportunity to use both, and I don't know, man, I think that a lot of people get in their head that, like, oh yeah, Nvidia is the best, and then it like does something to your psyche or something, thinking that like you've got the premium experience and there's no way that AMD could compete. And I guarantee a lot of people feel that way. They literally look down on AMD like it is trash, like there's no way AMD could ever compete with Nvidia, and they're wrong. They're 100% wrong. Like it's crazy just how good AMD is. It really is. I love AMD. I think they're incredible. What the experience that I've been able to have with Nvidia with AMD has been incredible. It has been absolutely incredible. My drivers are pretty dang stable all the time. I mean, there's been some minor stuff, but I'm not calling out like a whole bunch of the super minor stuff. Even on Nvidia, I don't call out the super minor stuff, because there is, like with AMD, every once in a while, like the driver will crash or something, you know like when you're playing a game or using like some of the new features or whatever. Whereas like when every time I go to start up the Nvidia, I gotta like make sure all my screens are on and everything, or it just doesn't even freaking boot up for a minute. So that's just like little weird problems, that like I just don't even care about, that I think most people would overlook. So I don't really bring those type of things up. If it's something super minor, I don't really go out of my way to try to nitpick that stuff anymore. I used to literally look for every single reason I could to nitpick, and that just got so old and so boring that now it's just, how do I feel when I have each of the experiences in? Like, do I feel excited to play a game when I have the Nvidia GPU in there? Do I, how does it feel when I'm utilizing the AMD card? One thing I can say, hands down, is AMD does do, in my opinion, a better overall HDR. I think I like the HDR significantly more on the AMD side than I do on the Nvidia side. And that's literally like a preference. Most of the stuff that I talk about is a preference, guys. It really is a preference and an opinion, that these are the things that I like. And when people are always out here trying to prove me wrong, like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Obviously, we all see and perceive and hear things differently. Obviously, our perception of the world around us is different from one individual to another. So when you're here trying to tell me that I'm wrong because of what I see on the products that I have on the screens that I bought, that I'm just telling you guys, like, clearly the AMD side produces an image quality with a color palette that I prefer more than Nvidia. And trying to replicate that on my Nvidia GPUs to this point has been fruitless. I have not been able to recreate the overall look and feel that I get from the AMD GPUs that satisfy me to the extent where I can get them just literally almost out of box settings with the AMD GPU. Like, that is madness to me. That is madness to me that I'm that I'm unable to produce the same thing. Like digital vibrance on the Nvidia GPUs, it once you get past a certain point, it literally just starts to do that oversaturation that doesn't look good. Whereas with AMD, you know, I can get to a certain point and wow, it just adds to the overall color palette, which makes the HDR look significantly better for me. Whereas with the Nvidia side, it just never gives me that bold look for the color. It just gives me a blown out look for the color. And you know, there are some games that I like playing with that, but you know, with that natural look to it. But some games I just don't. And I've tried some of these filters. And while they do look, I don't know, they still kind of just look like playing around with digital vibrance for the most part. So I don't know, my friends. I'm still, like I said, I'm still testing this. I'll still have the GPU in there for at least another couple of weeks. So we'll find out. We'll see if I can get it to that point. But as it sits right now, I'm still trying to figure this out, man. Like I love AMD. I think they're absolutely incredible, and they deliver for me almost like every single time, you know, like especially on like 1440p, the 7900 XT absolutely delivers every single time. We start getting into 4K, and you're needing FSR, which is hit or miss, you know, on a lot of games. So I don't normally play a whole lot at 4K. So So in terms of, you know, the 7900 XT being perfect for me, it actually is. So all right, my friends, if you guys like this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.